Welcome, everybody, to this evening's Board of Education meeting. Let's go right away, and I'm going to ask my little friend in the front row, what's your first name? Jersey? Jersey like the state? Yeah, you had to think about that. Listen, Mr. Jersey, do you know the Pledge of Allegiance? Yeah, you can wing it. Will you join us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Jersey, it goes, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. We are going to go right away into the student showcase. Centerfield Elementary, there she is. Welcome.
Good evening. I'm tickled. On behalf of my colleagues, before we begin tonight, I just want to thank you all, school board members, for your service. I know this is a special month to celebrate you guys, so thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Also want to thank you for this opportunity to showcase learning at Centerfield. We're really excited to be here tonight. At Centerfield, every child has access to what we call Pride Time. It's our math intervention and enrichment block. So it's a special set-aside time where teachers are tasked with meeting the needs, unique needs of all of the learners, students who are struggling, students who are advanced, all of that. We do that in a number of ways, but we're doing it in a new way in fourth grade at Centerfield called personalized learning. So in addition to personalized learning, students during this time may access specially designed instruction for their IEP. We have some students who are working on Edgenuity and advanced courses, but the students that we're here to showcase tonight and the staff that we're here to showcase tonight are using personalized learning to help meet all those unique needs. So I'm going to introduce my fourth grade team, and if students and teachers will come on up, we'll get started. This is Miss Megan Kleisek, Mrs. Caitlin Sams, Miss Amanda Deathridge, and Miss Kelsey Spillman.
Hello,
the kiddos
welcome.
are going to introduce themselves as well. Remember, just move the mic to where you need it to be. Okay.
Hi, my name is Jake Dillon. Hi, I am Porter Salisbury. Hi, I'm Alistair Wells. Hi, I'm Merrill. I'm Josie Hadley. I'm Gabriel Prost.
Welcome, Centerfield.
Thank you. All right, I'm just going to start. We started with a picture of a puzzle with a missing piece. When we think about personalized learning in our rising fourth graders every year, we think about what are they coming to us, what kind of math understanding do they have. And sometimes there's that one little missing piece, a couple missing pieces, and we feel like it's our job to find what those are, and that's not always an easy task. It could be something from prior grades that maybe they were out for a sickness, maybe they had personal things going on in their lives during the time they were learning. And Alistair's going to share a little bit about that. She has a little story for us.
In third grade, I had strep throat at least 10 times and missed several days each time. And I noticed a bunch of third grade standards on my sheet. And I told Miss Deathridge this must have been when I was sick with strep and had my tonsils removed.
Good job.
Good job, Alistair.
All right, so to begin this process, every year we take MAP. We take it in fall, winter, and spring. We were really lucky this year to be able to take fall MAP within the first 2 weeks of school. That was a really great way for us to be able to see right away what are these fourth graders coming in with and what are those gaps that they have. So MAP is a great tool because not only does it just give you that score that some people just use, but it breaks down every section of their math understanding, and they're able to see within that what are the standards that they need to develop. So it'll give you a full list from K and beyond, and it can go all the way up to I'm not sure exactly what grade it goes up to, but it can keep going and going, and we can see from kindergarten what were they missing and how does that affect beyond. So Gabriel's going to talk a little bit about how he uses this data for himself.
Thank you, Ms. Sams. So, when we use this data to create the personalized math standards, Ms. Sams would, or Ms. Kleisek,
or Miss Etheridge, they would break down each individual, like geometry and measurement or multiplying and dividing, into a section, and each section would have a score, and then those sections with lower scores would, since they were lower, they would be put on a sheet, and those sheets are filled with our tests. And so you watch a video or multiple videos, then you practice on a website, and then you write, Miss Sam's class would write a quiz up on the board, what you need. You would wait one day, and while you're waiting, you do reflex or something. And when we get back, we would have our quiz, we'd take the quiz, and then we pass it.
Wow, good explanation, Gabriel.
Thank you, Gabriel. And this has been a really great, enlightening experience to see what standards are connecting through the grades. So right now we're working in 4th grade in the workshop, just Tier 1, finding equivalent fractions and comparing fractions. So we're noticing that some students who are working on that 2nd grade standard of partitioning, if they are not getting that, they're struggling in the 4th grade workshop. So we're kind of filling those gaps to affect us in the Tier 1 setting. And with that said, if kids are getting it in 4th grade, they're in 5th grade standards or on Edgenuity moving on, because they are capable of that. They've got that going. But it's great to see what gaps we're filling and then it showing up with success in the workshop.
Okay, so this is a binder that we use to collect our data that we did on our personalized learning quizzes. And once we pass one, we check one off, and Miss Kleisig, she highlights them because we did a map test, and some of the things that we did not pass all the way, she would highlight them, and those are the standards that we would focus on.
Good job, Jake.
Great, so we have a little video that is going to snapshot it, and it's going to
So this video kind of lets you guys take a sneak peek inside all three.
Could you use the microphone? Could you use the microphone so everybody can hear
Sorry
you?
about that. Excuse me, sweet pea. Thank you, Gabriel. So this video kind of gives you a chance to see inside all three classrooms and how Pride looks a little different in each classroom. It also gives you a chance to see what each student is working on and how that aligns overall as the 4th grade team. I'm very lucky to be able to work with all three classrooms this year, so I've been pretty blessed to be able to be a part of all three setups.
Thank you.
Personalized learning is fun because I can learn old standards that I've already learned in the past. Standards are what you go back on that you forgot about. And then there's going to be like videos or practices that you have to do. After you're done, you write the date and then check off what you did. I like personalized learning because you get to test your skills and use new ones.
It is their responsibility to keep up with that tracking sheet. And they get excited when they see all the checks. And they get the signature from their teacher that they have passed that standard. They are really, really, really invested in making sure that sheet is up to date and good to go.
Personalized learning is good for you so you can get better at your standards. We set goals so once like camper comes, we're going to be winners, and it's going to help me understand like fractions and stuff, or like number lines. So once I go to 5th grade, I'm ready.
We're able to work together towards a common goal, but also set individual goals and celebrate each other with those. Alright, we're ready, everybody is ready. We're going to do a firework. Are you ready? Here we go. Hi,
think they were finished yet.
So this is kind of a flow chart of the process that our students go through during this 25-minute personalized learning time. So these were some of the things that you saw in the video. Like Gabriel and Miss Am started out telling us, we started this whole process by looking at their MAP data that they took in the fall. And with that data, we saw which gaps they were missing, and we were trying to fill those in by making those individualized sheets that Jake was talking about. And so they look at their standards that they need. They start with the one at the top, and then they have a series of videos and practices in their Google Classroom specifically for each standard. And once they've watched the videos and done all the practices and they feel they're ready to try to quiz out of that standard, they tell us they need a quiz and they take it. If they pass it, they mark the date that they passed it, move on to their next standard, start their videos and practices again. And if they don't pass it, then they confer one-on-one with us, and we talk about what their misconceptions were. And that looks different depending on how big the misconception was or what the specific standard was. So that might look like us clarifying what exactly a statement was asking them to do, or getting out manipulatives and having a more hands-on approach. And then after we feel they've gained a little bit more understanding and they feel a little better about it, then we have them take the quiz a second time. And if they pass that second time, they move on and do the videos and practices for the next standard. If they still don't pass that second time, then we look at what other strategies and approaches we might take, or if they need to be put in an intervention to boost those up, or what exactly they need. And so now a couple of the kids are going to talk about how this has also affected their class community, their responsibility, and their sense of agency.
Excellent, thank you.
We build community by celebrating each other. When we hit 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, we come together and celebrate. Our theme is Everest because we know you can't climb a mountain alone. You have to encourage each other. When you reach a base camp, like number 1, it is just like Mount Everest. They leave a bandana to leave their mark, just like we do, except we use small rock climber stickers, but we leave our mark.
Excellent, thank you. You can take that microphone out, Jersey, and just hold on to it. Oh, yeah. We may never get that mic back.
Personalized learning has helped make me more responsible. It is my job to get out my binder and climb up every day and pick up where I left off the day before. Some things this progress has taught me is that I can take ownership in my own learning.
Thank you.
When you take the mic out. So I get to decide how much support I need. I can watch as many videos and do as much practice as needed. Once I am comfortable, I can quiz out. It feels really good to quiz out.
Oh, yeah.
Nice one for
So now our students have their binders with them and their Chromebooks, and they want to kind of show you what their day might look like tomorrow in personalized learning. So you guys know exactly who you're headed to, and go show them where you're headed tomorrow in Pride.
Oh, excellent, thank you.
Oh, hey, Gabe. Long time no see. Yes, remember you were in my classroom when I came in the class. You were my classroom person.
You, Alice? There, sit down.
Are we going to use yours? Okay.
As you saw from Jake, he started
Map.
These are the ones that I'm focusing on specifically because like Jake said, these are the highlighted ones. So you gotta put a mountain to represent where it's all going in. So right here, this called standard you're on, like that. And like I said, there are certain standards. So there's only one video, then there's videos so if I feel like after I do the video and practice that I'm good, I put my NB standard up on keeps going down until you see it. So it's paper that we put our 6 standard up on. So 4 MB3. So when we click under my name, I will put 3. And there are normally videos, you watch all these videos, when you're completed with the videos, you would do all these practices. Sometimes you don't need to get all the way to here. This thing on the board that we have to imagine a box cut into multiple pieces. In Miss Liza's class, and she lets us, like, if we want to, we can only do practice. So I write down 4. So
Is there a set limit?
And then I write my name. And then the next day later, I would see the quiz that says 5, 3, 4 each day. Because you take that quiz, turn it, set one more day, and they grade it. Either A, you get it right, or B, you don't. It shows you what the standards are. You get you go back to A, you picture B, you go back it depends on what.
So we talked a little bit when I was in your classroom. You like this one. This is
Great. And angles and line type.
Headed next to Alistair. And so I was asking Jake, like there's been times where you can't find a standard because you're looking and you're looking and you're looking. Do your peers help you out with trying to find them? Your teacher does?
I hate to interrupt your amazing conversations, but we didn't necessarily plan an exit strategy. So,
We didn't. Help.
1 minute warning, okay, student ambassadors, 1 minute warning, wrap it up.
So like when I listen, I can't that we like get to answers right.
You have headphones, right? In class. All the videos are right here at the same time, right? Okay, so here's your angle video.
The immersive celebration is
You're rolling through them, girl.
Yeah. I think
Keep it or try
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
You got a cool name.
Then you have to go back and view your video again. Miss Sams will help you. Wow, my great explanation, girl. I think we're out of time, girl, but keep up the good work. I'll come see you. Okay.
So in workshops,
wow.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
So I have a little section that has these enrichment projects, and they know they get different type of problems that are mandatory.
So me and a bunch of my other friends, Kayla, Graham, Carson, we are on this tic-tac-toe board. You have to fill out
I think Gabriel and the superintendent need to kind of go in a side room and finish this discussion. You are so engrossed. Oh, Gabriel, you don't have to be out, but
Give me an hour fast friends. We're
we can
friends.
see you later,
I
okay?
didn't realize that everybody's gone.
Well, actually, that is a nice segue to invite you all anytime at 10:55.
Yes.
Fourth grade's doing personalized learning, so anytime 10:55, we would love to have you.
Krista. Give it up for Centerfield
Thank you.
Elementary. I'm sorry that you all couldn't participate in our little learning setting up here. We put MAP assessments into place several years ago. Do you remember how long ago that might have been, Mr. Deves? I'm looking at you because you've been here that long.
8.
Yes, several years ago. And so we keep asking, what's the value of MAP assessment? And nobody could have explained it better to us than these students. It was an awesome student showcase. It was a great demonstration, Wildcats, of several things that we value in Oldham County Schools. One is leadership, because you came to our board meeting and you shared with us. Communication. You hit several highlights, creativity, and we so appreciate you being here. Great student showcase. Anybody have anything to add? It was a pleasure.
If I could, just
Yes.
because I don't know if they decided to make the showcase after I visited earlier in the year or not, but I was in the classroom, and what Gabriel and I's dialogue, he was my person in the classroom when I was there the first time. He didn't want to stop. When I was in the classroom, the kids did not want to stop. So you talk about engagement, really being involved in the work. This is what is being seen every day within that classroom. It's just really awesome. It's neat to see.
And the video was an excellent example of one of our kids said it, that it's fun to learn. And I was so pleased to hear that from you all. So great job, Centerfield. Thank you, Miss Krista. I've lost you in the crowd. There you are. Thank you very much. Listen, Wildcats, we're going to do some other recognitions of other people who have done some really cool things in the school district. If you will just stay with us for a few minutes, I'm going to give everybody an opportunity to make a graceful exit. All right?
Where's Jersey? I might need your help. So one of my favorite times of the month is when we do recognitions. Today we have staff and student recognitions. So please recognize the following outstanding individuals tonight. January is School Board Recognition Month, and this is January. And so I'm very proud to celebrate our dedicated board members. Joyce Fletcher, if you'd please stand. Kevin Woosley, that would be Stan.
I am the only female.
Kevin Woosley,
That's
Larry
my
Dotson, and Patrick Kehoe spend countless hours serving the students, families, and community members of Oldham County. Together, they have over 48 years of school board experience in the district, which is pretty phenomenal. So please join us in thanking them for their commitment to ensuring the highest level of learning.
Thank you, Superintendent.
Yes?
I said thank you.
Oh, you're welcome, sorry. Usually, they're not usually behind me. It makes me just a little nervous. Also learned today what the meaning of guaranteed. My definition of guaranteed and Amazon's definition of guaranteed delivery are not the same. So their gift from me will be coming later. We'll tell you what it is later. Next, we'd like to recognize our nationally board certified teachers. Oldham County has a long-standing tradition of national board teachers. This year, we were blessed to announce 17 more teachers have obtained their national board certification in December. National board certification recognizes accomplished teachers who work to generate continued improvement in the learning environment. This certification is a voluntary advanced teacher credential which can take several years to complete. It is rigorous, peer review process that ensures teachers have proven skills to advance student achievement. As part of this process, teachers must analyze their teaching context and student needs, demonstrate what they've done outside the classroom to improve student success, submit videos of their teaching, which in itself is very painful. It doesn't say that, but I've done it, and it's painful. And provide student work samples that demonstrate growth. Additionally, candidates must submit essays describing, analyzing, and reflecting on their practices and the evidence, and pass an exam to demonstrate they have mastered their chosen content areas of certification. Just under 3% of the nation's teachers are nationally board certified. I am proud to state that Oldham County is the leader in this region of national board certified teachers. It's a tremendous honor. This is one of those things that as teachers apply for, not everyone gets. There are some people that have done it multiple times. It's just a very, very rigorous process. So will everyone please come up, and we'll have you all stand up here. We'll have you a beautiful certificate that will be passed out to you, and then we will recognize you. Are you going to take them all? Okay, just take them all. Stephanie Ballett. Jessica Byron. Jessica Dawson. Katie Embry. Gamsky. Brooke Heiser. Catherine Howard. Hannah Carell. Rosalind Manning. Amanda Morris. Lindsay Mark. Angela Pacheco is not here tonight, but still, always good, right? Elizabeth Steinert. Carrie Sweeney. Chantal Ziggy. Sarah Zylberg, sorry. Nice round of applause for our National Board Certified Teachers on Not Just You.
You're gonna have to squish more than that.
You have to go 2 layers.
My end is not squishing.
Oh, I like the cat.
Feels awkward.
And that was your all's workout today. Good job.
Next up for our student recognitions, we have several members of the All-State Concert Band. Congratulations to the following high school band students who have been named to the All-State Concert Band. Seeing that there's not a lot of us, I'd like to call you up by school, but then have you stay and we'll take one large picture if we could. From North Oldham High School, Michael Dunn. From North Oldham High School, Luke Watkins. From Oldham County High School, Evan Baker. From Oldham County High School, Morgan Baker. From Oldham County High School, Ben Bunting. From Oldham County High School, Aaron Cook. From Oldham County High School, Mary D. Simone. From Oldham County High School, Hannah Hardendorf. From Oldham County High School, Benjamin Hartridge. From Oldham County High School, Will Metling. From Oldham County High School, Will Middleton. Congratulations. Oh, that's our amp. I won't do that. From Oldham County High School, Chloe Otterback. Didn't say Chloe this time. Good job. All right, let's take a quick picture with the All-State Concert Band before we continue with the other group.
You guys, good job.
Push me in.
I can drink the second chair. I'll be behind.
Great job, guys.
Moving on to the All-State Symphonic Band. Congratulations to these students for making All-State Symphonic Band from North Oldham High School. David Heffen. You're welcome. Oldham County High School, Joseph Dennis. From Oldham County High School, Ashton Jones. From Oldham County High School, Jeremy Richards. From South Oldham High School, Zach Snow. We'll take a quick picture before we go to the next group. All-State Jazz Band. Congratulations to David Williams from North Oldham High School for making the All-State Jazz Band. David, are you here? The National Association for Music Education, I'm not even going to say that because I don't know what that is, All-National Honors Band. A few select students are chosen to join the All-National Honors Band every year. Congratulations to these students from Oldham County High School for achieving this distinction. Khalid Al-Assad. Mary D. Simone. William Milton. And Clay Otterbeck.
It's going to be a long walk. I was doing.
Good job, Blair. Larry.
And that concludes our night of recognitions. Thank you all very much.
Our two favorite portions of the board meeting, student showcase and recognitions. Congratulations to all of our musically inclined and especially talented students. Thank you all for being here. I'm going to give you an opportunity if you really want to go home, Jersey. This is your chance, buddy. Okay, I'm going to assume you're staying.
I saw that. Actually, I think there are two of them. I see those people.
What I'll do is I'll come back to school in the next couple days. I'll see you then.
Okay. See you, Gabriel.
See you, Gabe.
Bye. Nice working with you.
He's a sweetheart, man.
Hey, George. Let's get the principal's move forward.
Mine just feels a little empty now, doesn't it?
I know.
It's a little cavernous.
All right, we're going to proceed with the agenda, and we are ready for Superintendent Report number 1, sir.
So I used to say my favorite facilities director. I'm going to say our favorite facilities director, Mr. Brent Bohannon.
Great report, Mr. Bohannon.
Nice to be upgraded. Thank you.
I know. now.
If you refer to the report in your pamphlet,
Yes, I read it.
all right, you'll see that we have the updates for the major projects that are under construction, including Camden Station Elementary School, which has reached 95% completion of the commissioning of the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing systems, and the punch list work and checking off of the punch list continues at that school.
Yay.
The Buckner Elementary School roof replacement, the BG5 closeout documents will come to you next month for approval. The Oldham County High School roof replacement, roof area G, if you want to refer to your map that's attached there, started work on that over winter break, and work continues on as weather allows in that area. The Buckner Classroom Edition, further revisions are required by KDE to include portions of the project that were not earlier included in the scope. So we'll be going back and developing a little bit more work in that area. So it will probably come back to you with a revision to the BG1 as well as CD approvals at that time.
Thank you.
The LaGrange partial roof replacement, that contract was approved by KDE on January 9th and has been sent to the contractor, so work should begin there shortly. The North Oldham Middle HVAC refrigeration replacement. You all approved the award of that contract earlier today, so that will be sent to KDE for approval. The South Oldham High School Administrative Edition and Gym HVAC project, we will be presenting construction documents to you later today, and then we'll follow up and send those to KDE for approval in February.
Yay.
The central office renovation also bid out this month, and KDE has approved that construction contract and has been sent to the contractor, so work will begin there also. And to remind you all, that's making repairs to the windows and replacement of doorways and such. If there's any questions, I won't go through all of the other ones because a lot of them are repeats from last month. So, is there any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Bohannon. Questions, board members? Nice report.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Superintendent report number 2. Superintendent.
Yes. If Ms. Corson will come up, and this is the time of the year we start reviewing policies, updating policies, and so this is first reading for many of these.
Ms. Corson, welcome.
Good evening. So we have some policies that are being reviewed and suggested revisions. These are policies that might have been around for a long time. You can see some of them haven't been updated in quite a few years.
Right.
One of the things we are adding is the board in-service requirements, and so those were not in our current policy, and with the addition of a new member to the board here soon, we thought it might be a good idea to go ahead and put those in. We also had to adopt charter school policies according to the legislation that was passed in 2019. We had to have this policy in place, even though now with the new administration, we're not really sure what's going to happen with charter schools. But you can see there's quite a lengthy policy on how the board would go about authorizing a charter school in Oldham County. We also have some revisions to the banking policy. Those were just a little out of date in the terminology we used. We have a new policy, the civil rights complaint procedure that's required by federal law for school nutrition programs. It's very similar to the complaint process we have for other federal programs, such as disability, students covered by disability laws. And finally, we have a deletion to the physical examination policy. The Director of Health Services is recommending this revision because apparently schools don't do scoliosis screens anymore, so we're taking that out of the policy.
All right. Sorry. Thank you. Let me ask if there are any questions right now, Ms. Corson. Mr. Woosley.
And with the new law that just went into effect about board vacancies, should that language be added to 1005? How we should replace our own?
Yes, we actually added that in August as kind of an emergency measure, even though policy review didn't start. We went ahead and updated that policy back in August. So we are set to go ahead and select a new member.
Check. Other questions? All right, we have a month to get back to Ms. Corson if we have any more questions, and we will take action at that time on these.
Okay.
Thank Thank you, Miss Ann. All right. We are ready for, I'm trying to manipulate my new Chromebook. Patience is a virtue.
Super Report 3.
Superintendent Report number 3.
It is budget time. It's always budget time, but this is draft budget time, so I'll call Ms. Anderson to the podium.
Good afternoon again.
Good afternoon. Hello again. Yes, it is budget time again, the new year, the first of 3 rounds. So this will be the draft budget for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2021. The Kentucky Department of Education requires each local board to prepare and review a draft budget, which at this time excludes any multi-year funds, which are the grant and construction funds. The draft budget is prepared mainly for compliance purposes. We haven't had much discussion yet at this point, and provides budget information based on current year operations. What I want to outline for you in this is the changes that we have talked about that we anticipate for the upcoming year. Some of those are going to include changes in revenue. The county is not quite ready to give us some estimates about PVA estimates at this time, so that's on hold for a little bit. We are also considering options for merit-type salary increases plus benefits. The first one would be 1% increase to all steps, which would be about $2.2 million. We're also considering the updates that MAG has proposed to us. The current estimate is at $471,000. We are mandated to increase the CERS again 12%. And that will take it from 24% to almost 27%. When they proposed this several years ago, the cap at that time was 28, so I'm kind of hoping they'll slow down a little bit, but at this point they can do 12% if the legislature wants. We are looking at some new costs. Those would include staffing for Gates, primary talent pool, literacy coach, and high school counselors of about $375,000. The CAPA funding, about $300,000. An IT technician for districts and school, about $60,000. A bus video upgrade, $40,000. And a replacement to our current software for timekeeping. And that'll be about $19,000. We also have some carry forward costs from last year. These are types of funding that you all had wanted to continue over a period of time as we do some investments in some areas. Those include IT infrastructure upgrades of about $800,000, continuing the interactive classroom refresh, again about $800,000, and continuing with the APQC process management. This will be year 2 of 3 at $15,000. Also under consideration are some reductions to the contingency. This would include 6 to 9 buses, anywhere from $600,000 to $1 million. OCHS tennis court replacements, preschool and elementary classroom libraries, OCHS auxiliary gym repairs, center field playground, and a band tower. So below that you can see the funds that we have a budget for at this time. It is not a complete budget, it's just the very beginning. So my recommendation at this time is to review the 21 draft budget in preparation for discussions related to the next step, the tentative budget.
Yes. Thank you, Ms. Anderson. Are there questions, board members? Comments? All right. Thank you.
Thank
we
you.
will stay tuned. Thank you, Ms. Anderson. Lots of budget work. I think now we are ready for our first action item, Superintendent.
So at this time of the year, we set the board meeting calendar for the following year, and so you have that in front of you.
Yes, we do. And we've had opportunities to review and discuss. Are there questions, board members? Your recommendation, sir?
Approve the 2020-2021, it is hard to say, board meeting schedule as presented.
Thank you. Motion to approve, please, made by Mr. Dodson and seconded by Mr. Kehoe. All those in favor, and that's 4-0. Action item, next action item, Superintendent.
So revisiting the conversation, construction documents for South Oldham High School administrative addition. So Mr. Bohan, there you are. You just went out of my view there for a second.
Good evening.
I'm stalling.
That's these documents, sir.
Yes. So you should have a paper copy as well as what was included in your packet. And the architects and landscape architect from Ross Tarrant Architects is here to share with you the presentation version of the construction documents, which we've reviewed and are requesting for your approval to send those off to KDE to get their further approval so that we can move towards finalizing the bid documents and moving into the bidding and negotiation phase of the project.
Excellent. We are excited about this project. Welcome.
So I believe Beth's going to drive and
Would you introduce our
yeah. Beth Bauer is going to be driving the computer over there, and Kevin McCullough will be speaking with you.
All right. Thank you all.
Thank you for having us again. We express our appreciation to all the board members across the state that we have the opportunity to work with and all the hard work you all do to support schools within Kentucky and Oldham County.
Thank you, Kevin.
So we're bringing this back before you for CD approval. So we want to start with a site plan to just kind of generally orient you to the changes there at South Oldham High School. So we are adding a new staff parking lot there by the front entry and the new addition for the administration wing. As a part of this project, we are rebuilding the entryway into South Oldham County High School and providing them with 2 outdoor classroom spaces and gathering spaces for the beginning and ends of the school day there. Also, we're doing an addition and a vestibule attached to the gym that would connect the gym and the theater space on the back of South Oldham County High School and provide some new handicap parking spaces and rebuild the asphalt drive there adjacent to the high school. So I'm going to switch places and drive so that you don't have a landscape architect explaining architecture to you.
Good
Let
idea.
Beth take over.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
So this is an overall first floor plan of South Oldham High School, and on the south is the admin addition, which Kevin had on the site plan with the parking lot. And we're going to be connecting into the existing lobby. There will be a secure vestibule, which I'll show you on the next page. But then at the top on the north side, that's where the gym addition is happening, which is on the second floor going to house the MEP equipment to renovate the HVAC in the existing gym and the auxiliary gym as well. So this is the first and second floor plan of the admin addition. The color coding there, yellow, is the new entry hall. That will be a 2-story volume that will have display cases for art on the west side. There will also be a very large canvas at the north end of the hall that can be interchanged and just really showcase the student art at that school. The tan areas are admin offices, and the gray areas are kind of back of house, mechanical areas, restrooms. So on the first floor, there's a secure vestibule, which is how you go into the entry hall. Then you would go into the reception area. So you could check in there. It would be used after school has started. Then you'd be able to go back into the entry hall through the second door there. Then back down the hallway, there's the principal's office, the assistant principal's offices, the bookkeeper, and then as you go around, there's a stair to get to the second floor, so it's internal to the admin addition, so they don't have to go back into the school, so it's very convenient. And then back out the other side, there's the first floor nurse's room, so there will be a restroom in there, which will also be attached to the attendance office, so the nurse and the attendance office personnel can kind of monitor that area. And then there will be a sliding glass window so that students can check in and out at the attendance office without having to go into the reception area. On the second floor, actually at the hallway up to the north, that's an existing classroom hallway. Next plan over. Yeah, and a new guidance suite will be in an existing classroom, so that way students can just go straight from the hallway into the guidance office. And then there's a door which would block going into the rest of the admin suite, which there's additional staff offices up there. There will be a workroom for staff to make copies. There'll be a fridge and a microwave. And then there will be a large mechanical room for heat pumps, and then 2 more offices and a records room, which would be more for the guidance staff. Next page. So the gym addition, and we're showing the left side of it, which is actually an existing restroom area, which is attached to the auxiliary gym, but it'll be fully renovated, so that's why we're showing that colored. It'll just be finishes, so just all brand new, which will then tie into the addition on the east side, which is a large lobby that connects both gyms on the north end, and there will be PE storage accessible off of the gym and an access up to the mechanical mezzanine, which would just be more for maintenance staff. And that is all that we have.
Excellent. Thank you. Mr. Dodson?
Yeah, I have one question. I still have a problem from the last one. There's no elevator out of the office area up to the second floor.
So
I still have a problem with that.
go back to the first floor, the overall.
They're in the office
There is an
area.
elevator, you would have to go out into the hall, but there is an elevator in the wing, the existing, yeah.
And I understand that, but what I'm concerned is these people, if there's an intruder or somebody's handicapped in there, they may need to go up the second floor. They don't need to go out in the hallway. And that's what concerns me. Someone gets hurt, you may need the elevator to get them in and out. Is there any way we can put an elevator up that office up to the second floor?
Weigh in on that, Mr. Bohannon.
Yeah, I think that having more than one elevator might be a little redundant, but I think the location of it, you have a good point, is not convenient to the office as much as it is to the student population. I think historically we've kind of had those more in a region where the students use them than the administrative offices. I think there may be a little bit of square footage to the interior of the vestibule next to the SRO's office where we could look at putting some more vertical circulation through there. But as far as the administration wing that's out in front of the existing building, we're pretty tight in that lower area. We've actually had to move all of the APs down to the first floor so that to meet some KDE requirements about what spaces can be used for in the addition versus what spaces have to be renovation. So for instance, the guidance office and guidance counselor's offices are have to be in the renovated areas and cannot be included in the addition. So we were very tight on the interior of the first floor. And then how that translated up. So it is something we can take a look at if something you all would like to take a look at.
And I really think that our high school administrators need to weigh in on that, in
Absolutely.
particular Ms. Woosley, because we are not educators and we do not live in that building. And so I really think the authority needs to come probably from Ms. Woosley as to whether that's
That's fine, absolutely.
a high
We actually just
priority
met
and
with-
whether it's possible, Brent.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We actually just met with Miss Woosley and Mr. Ritchie before coming out here today, and we have another meeting planned with them coming up here in a week or so to
Okay.
look at some other things too. So we'll definitely bring that up.
So it's a concern we voice.
Absolutely.
You can, please, thank you.
The second question.
Yes, sir.
On the outdoor classrooms.
Yes, sir.
Is there any type of protective area for the kids that will be in that?
It's less of a structured classroom, it's more of a gathering space. If you think of what it looks like there, at 8 o'clock in the morning or at 3 o'clock in the afternoon or 3:45 in the afternoon, there's a lot of people in a area that doesn't really have a designated space to stand. So you have a lot of people in a circulation path currently. So what we're trying to create is just areas where you can take a group of individuals, whether it be someone who's waiting to get picked up by their ride, or if they're going out there for an art class, to be in an area and not be in the line of traffic coming in and out of the building. As far as a structure, is there a structure that like a
Are you
fenced-in area?
speaking about weather or security?
Security.
Okay, that's what I didn't know if you're talking about a physical structure or a,
They can get wet. I just want security for these kids.
Well, and keep in mind, that's not a designated classroom. There's not a class that's meeting out there on a regular basis. That if it's no different than we currently have, if you were to drive past South Oldham High School, or probably any of the schools, you might see some kids outside the building with a teacher,
drawing
small
trees,
chunk of the day.
or art classes, or science classes, going out there and doing observations and
Like I
stuff.
say, I'm having to ask because the security of everything, I need to ask.
Absolutely.
And all the glass on the building, on the office area outside, that has the film on it, or?
At every entry point and every glazing adjacent to an entry point will have the laminated security glazing, similar to what we've done at the last three or four projects that we've done.
Okay,
All
one
right.
last question.
Yes, sir.
Y'all mentioned an outside auditorium area back by the gym.
Yes.
Is there going to be a solid fence around it or something that, because I see that being used a lot. Again, for protection.
I'm not sure I follow what area you're asking
He's talking about
about.
the back of the gym, back of the, connecting the gymnatorium to the gym, making that the one hallway on the first floor. So are you referring to during the day, or because it would be like no different than any other outside door, it'd have to be fobbed in. You couldn't just walk in at any
It's in the
point.
interior.
It's all
of the
interior space,
building.
yes, sir.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
where
Yeah.
the misunderstanding was. It's in the interior.
Yes, and since you brought that up, that entry point will probably during the construction time, we're coordinating this with the school as well about how we can at least have the least amount of effect on day-to-day operations during the construction period. That place will have the security upgrades to those locations because I see that becoming more of a daily use during construction and even after construction, once you have that connection to both gyms from there, not having to go back outside and come back in. So,
Will you answer my questions?
sure.
But you will discuss, Ms. Woosley, about the...
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Are there other questions, board members? Thank you.
Thank you.
This is an action item.
It is an
So we
action
need
item,
to
so,
approve
yes, we do
this,
need to-
right, Mr. Bohannon?
Mhm.
Thank you, Ross Tarrant, for being here this evening. What's your recommendation, Superintendent?
Approve the action item as presented, knowing that they'll go back and ask the follow-up questions as requested by the board.
Excellent. Motion to approve, please. Made by Mr. Woosley, seconded by Mr. Kehoe. All those in favor? Any opposition? That's a 3-1. Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Bohannon. And thank you again, Ross Tarrant. All right, board members, we are ready now for public expression. Mr. Williams, thank you. Mr. Woosley, would you read our policy pertaining to public expression?
Speakers should register by signing the sign-in sheet upon their arrival to the meeting. The board will call upon speakers in the order of which they're signed in. Speakers shall not exceed the time limit allotted by the board. The board will allocate time based on the number of individuals registered to speak. Public criticism of individual staff members and individual board members is prohibited. Concerns about individual staff performance should be addressed with the staff member directly or his or her immediate supervisor or the board chairperson respectively. Board expression is not a question and answer. Public expression is not a question and answer period. Any questions expressed by the speaker will be noted with directives for appropriate administration to follow up. The board, however, reserves the right to respond when appropriate or necessary.
So what's the time allotted? We have 2 speakers, Mr. Woosley. Mr. Dodson
I'd say
suggested
3.
3 minutes. All right, so we will try to adhere to that. So our first person who wishes to address the board is Ms. Kendra Wigand. Welcome again.
Good evening. I'm here tonight to follow up directly with the board to express my continued opposition to the Chromebook policy at NOMS. Since my initial voicing of concerns at the September 23rd meeting, I've had the opportunity to meet with Dr. Smith and discuss the issue at greater length and detail. It is my concern tonight that the summary of that meeting was not accurately represented when relayed by Mrs. Pitzenberger. I am here to clarify my concern once again and offer my summary from the meeting. The main impression I received was that there was lack of funding for the cost of the software licensing and Chromebook hardware. Dr. Smith and I respectfully disagreed on the fundamental answer to the question of who is responsible for that cost. It was expressed by Dr. Smith that NOMS does not have the budget to support this program. Their solution is to pass the cost on to families as mandatory registration fees. I replied with the challenge that if this program is to be successful long-term and throughout all of Oldham County middle schools, funding needs to come from the district level. Another alternative I suggested was to greatly adjust the individual school budgets to absorb the cost of the program, reduce funding elsewhere, examine priorities, and make hard cuts. Dr. Smith's response was that if parents can't fund it and his budget can't be adjusted, the pilot program would be discontinued. The monitoring software and the Chromebooks would be removed from the classroom. We all agree this is not the course of action to take. Since that meeting, it has been communicated there will be no change in the Chromebook policy for next school year. To be perfectly honest, I reached out to legal counsel. I believed there would be some kind of guideline, formula, or limit to the costs that public schools in Kentucky can charge families. Turns out I was wrong. According to the Kentucky Attorney General, as long as a parent is informed of what the fees are used for and the fee waivers are offered, there's no written law regarding limits. Administration could decide to charge for the software teachers are using to create lesson plans and the computers teachers are using to create those lessons. Why not charge parents for the 6 desks their child's use in the day? They could be replaced annually. Theoretically, whenever a school wants to initiate any new program they do not have the budget for, they just need to increase student fees for your approval. Parents can easily be informed of what these fees are used for, and it is compliant with Kentucky law. So where does it end? Where's the line? What's the acceptable maximum dollar amount for parents to pay in addition to their property taxes when there is no law for one? I'm here to ask you to please be mindful of the snowballing impact your decision has when it comes to approving mandatory fees. Review those school proposals diligently. Look at the separate Chromebook policy handbook at NOMS. Review those separate and additional fees. Question them, deny them, and ask for revisions. And then, as a district, decide your focus and priority in the area of technology and fund it at the district level accordingly. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wiggin. Thank you. We have one more person wishing to address the board, and that is Miss Amy Hamilton Harrington. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, members of the board, and thank you for the opportunity to say a few things. I know that you all have had long days and a long night. I really echo Ms. Wiggins' sentiments about what she's relayed to you about her concerns about the Chromebooks and the increasing fees. I did a few basic calculations myself and determined that I will spend roughly $450 to send my 6th grader to school. And along with that, we'll spend another relative $350 each year. And I find that to be exorbitant. I would like to see what the actual costs for these Chromebooks. I would like to see what the actual cost for the licensing, for the insurance. I haven't seen any of that information. I have concerns about the pilot project for the entire district. How is that going to be implemented? How is that sustainable and feasible? How can all families in our district afford $105 to lease a Chromebook? How do families seek out financial assistance? How is that information disseminated? What happens to the children who families can't pay or won't pay? I hope that they aren't embarrassed or that they don't lose out on valuable instructional time. I don't believe that the district should charge fees for mandatory Chromebooks. But if you do, I ask that you make these fees reasonable and affordable. And I want there to be ways that families who need to seek out assistance, that they can do so without being embarrassed. There are many reasons why you don't have hundreds of families standing before you. And some of that has to do with they don't know about these policies, they don't know about these fees, they don't know how to approach you, they don't know what to say. But part of that comes from they don't want to be embarrassed, they don't want to stand before you, and they're afraid. They're afraid to stand up and say, we don't like this, we don't agree with it, we don't know what's going to happen. And they're afraid that their children could have negative implications or that they're retaliated against. So I want to take a few moments to tell you that I hope that you take this information and you spend some time looking at the policies, reviewing the policies, maybe making some board policies regarding fees, and that this becomes an ongoing conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Harrington. We will ask the superintendent and various designated district personnel to follow up with all of those concerns, and we appreciate your willingness to appear for public expression. We are ready at this time. Where am I? Are we ready for the big? We are, but let me remind board members, you have 2 reports at the end of your agenda to please review: the monthly district energy usage and the preschool report. Your recommendation then at this time, Superintendent?
I recommend to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, please. Made by Mr. Dodson and seconded by Mr. Woosley. All those in favor? And that's 4-0. Thank you all for being here.